Now, what I'm about to say is going to make a lot of people upset, but I do not believe that ADHD is a disorder. Yes, the ADHD brain and a non-ADHD brain are biologically different, but I think that it is just that. I do also believe it's all about perspective, and my perspective is backed by the neuroscience in an ADHD brain, as well as understanding the difference between a non-ADHD brain and an ADHD brain. So let's talk about a couple things to help you understand, beginning with the prefrontal cortex. What is the prefrontal cortex and what are its roles? Your prefrontal cortex is your brain's executive control center. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for top-down control, goal maintenance, and inhibition. And inside the prefrontal cortex, there's so much going on, but we're going to talk about two types of dopamine: tonic dopamine and phasic dopamine. Tonic dopamine is your baseline extracellular dopamine. It sets the background excitability of neurons as well as determining whether tasks feel tolerable or aversive. Are they worth it or not? Now, phasic dopamine. Phasic dopamine is responsible for the rapid dopamine bursts in response to novelty, urgency, and reward. In the ADHD brain, we have low tonic dopamine and intact or exaggerated phasic dopamine, meaning that novel stimuli produce disproportionately strong responses, creating dopamine volatility. In simple terms, low baseline, high spikes. Now, we can't talk about dopamine without talking about dopamine signaling and receptors. D1 versus D2 balance. Now, the D1 receptors in our prefrontal cortex, where this all is taking place, strengthen task-relevant signals, stabilize working memory, and enable sustained attention. The D2 signaling is where we differ from a non-ADHD brain. The ADHD brain's D2 signaling impairs reward delay sensitivity and has a preference for immediate reward, meaning that basically we are dopamine-seeking individuals. I hope this is making sense thus far. Now we're going into norepinephrine. Norepinephrine regulates cortical arousal, signal-to-noise ratio, and attention gating. Now, in a non-ADHD brain, optimal norepinephrine suppresses irrelevant noise and amplifies relevant signaling. This is why they are able to focus on tasks without being distracted. In an ADHD brain, we have dysregulated norepinephrine, meaning basically everything feels equally important. Now, why in an ADHD brain are you getting distracted during tasks that you don't want to do? Now, this of course again is in the prefrontal cortex, where everything I'm talking about is taking place. There are pyramidal neurons and GABA interneurons. Pyramidal neurons carry tasks while GABA interneurons suppress irrelevant activity. Dopamine and norepinephrine regulate the balance between the two. In the ADHD brain, there is weak neuromodulatory support, reduced inhibitory control, and excess spontaneous firing, meaning that thoughts are intruding into task space. Now, in the prefrontal cortex, there is a subregion called the anterior cingulate cortex. This is responsible for effort evaluation, error detection, and cost-benefit analysis. In the ADHD brain, it overstimulates effort cost, underestimates reward value, and leads to task avoidance. Now let's talk about the basal ganglia. These are subcortical nuclei located deep within the brain below the cortex. The prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia work together closely. Now, in the basal ganglia, there is something called the striatum. The striatum is the primary input center for the basal ganglia. The roles of the basal ganglia and striatum are action selection, reward timing, and habit formation. Now, in the ADHD brain, there is impaired dopamine signaling, difficulty linking delayed reward to action, and weak reinforcement of boring but important behaviors. Next, we're going to talk about default mode network and time processing failure. Now, in a non-ADHD brain, DMN is activated during rest, mind wandering, and self-referential thought. DMN is also suppressed when task networks are activated. In the ADHD brain, the prefrontal cortex fails to suppress DMN, meaning that task-positive networks and task-negative networks co-activate, causing you to think about completely unrelated things while trying to focus and at the same time burning cognitive energy. This may feel like your brain won't shut up. Now, temporal processing failure. Dopamine encodes the time value of reward. In the ADHD brain, there is low tonic dopamine, resulting in reward feeling abstract, time feeling distorted, and deadlines not emotionally registering. This is called temporal discounting, basically meaning that delayed reward equals biologically meaningless. Now, before I move on to my resolve, I want to stress a couple things that are important to remember. A non-ADHD is goal-driven, while an ADHD brain is stimulus-driven, Both are intelligent. One just needs activation, not willpower. ADHD is not a lack of attention, it is the inability to regulate attention consistently. The ADHD brain does have the ability to hyperfocus just under certain conditions. So now we move on to my perspective. Now I want to preface this by saying if ADHD does hinder your life and you also don't understand neurochemistry, you should get medicated. I remember what that felt like, and it felt horrible not knowing what's going on inside my head, but everything is just working against me. You feel lost, and I know I'm talking about what I believe is best for people with ADHD, but being medicated is still better than not being medicated. Something is better than nothing. Now we can talk about medication. Stimulation fixes everything in the ADHD brain temporarily, and this is why amphetamines are so popular. Simply put, administering amphetamines cause a spike in basic dopamine, resulting in the prefrontal cortex normalizing temporarily. Now I want to talk about something all of us with ADHD have experienced. We weren't always medicated, and there were times that we were able to hyper-focus while doing something we were interested in or passionate about. Now remember the pathways I discussed earlier, your prefrontal cortex, your dopamine, your norepinephrine, your DMN, your task networks. They all work together, resulting in a certain behavior. And just like the medication, when you administer an amphetamine, it causes high stimulation, normalizing your prefrontal cortex temporarily. We can achieve this without taking medication and feeling the side effects of administering something like an amphetamine. Now we're going to talk about my anecdotal experience. I know, very frowned upon, but I do believe that anecdotal experiences have many times been the reason for change in science and medicine. I was never able to focus in school, and I felt like it was because I didn't understand anything. Even going into adulthood, there were times where I felt horrible about myself because I would start something and I would not be able to finish it. I felt like I was a quitter and that I could never complete a single task. I had a hard time doing regular, simple things that everyone else can do. Waking up in the morning, brushing my teeth, changing my clothes, going to the gym, forming habits. And not understanding the neurochemistry for so long, I accepted that I was a dumb, lazy loser who was never going to be able to finish anything. But as I explained earlier, this is not the case. When I traveled on my own for the first time is where I really felt normal. I went to a place where I didn't speak the language, where I didn't know anybody. Yet this is where I thrived. Now there are certain times in my life where I am able to feel normal. When I am solo traveling, pursuing my passions, or doing both at the same time. When I was alone in a different country and I didn't know the language, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't even know what I was going to do when I wake up, how did I manage? So like I mentioned before, there were times where we were able to hyper-focus in our lives without taking medication. Basic dopamine is able to spike and normalize your prefrontal cortex with high stimulation. That is exactly what was happening to you when you were not medicated and able to hyper-focus. External stimulation. This can happen via deadlines, competition, novelty, risk, and intense interest. And during these moments, the ADHD brain actually becomes more functional than a non-ADHD brain. This changed everything for me. Once I really understood the environments that I thrived in, I never wanted to be anywhere that I didn't feel like myself. I learned a new language within 2 months. I was so happy. I never felt bad about myself. I felt like I finally fit in. I was going out early in the morning, making sure that I was experiencing new things every single day, seeking dopamine constantly. I was able to wake up, get ready early in the morning, go out, seek new experiences, meet new people, and at the same time work on my writing and my scripts and my film ideas. It sounds so cringe, but I was literally high on life, with none of these side effects from taking an amphetamine. So after that first experience, I changed the entire structure of my life. I went all in, believing myself fully and risking everything, knowing that this lifestyle is what I have to achieve. Now, some of us are lucky and some of us are unlucky. Of course, we have to work to fund our lives. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. All the money that I've made, all the business that I've done, it's all supposed to lead me to one point: to live a life full of passion and new experiences. Being self-aware enough to learn from them and grow. Taking risks that nobody else will take due to fear. If you have ADHD, you are made to be a traveler. You are made to take risks that nobody else will. You were made to be different. I know our financial situations and our environments may make this very difficult, but what are you willing to risk to do what you were made for? If you resonate with this perspective whatsoever, this is what I would tell you. If you don't know your purpose or passion or what dreams you're supposed to chase, find it. Find it in the craziest places in the world or the most unexpected relationships you never thought you'd have. Go out there and increase your opportunities to give yourself a better life. Because if you're anything like me, I will risk everything to fulfill the purpose I was made for. I will never go back.